Hey gang, Anthony Fontana here. I just wanted to start this video out. First of all, good evening, Saturday night. Hope everybody's having some fun. If you're watching this as a replay later on today, that'd be great if you could just let me know that it is a replay. I do appreciate that. I'd love to know who's watching these things. But it was a beautiful day today. On Long Island, we had amazing weather. I worked out in the yard for a few hours, made a ton of phone calls, did some business. It was just wonderful. Well, this video tonight is basically, I'm trying to reach out to some of you guys that maybe you're missing out a little bit on some of the good things in life. I just wanted to have a conversation with you, just real quick. Hey MJ, how are you? Patty, how are you? What's going on? So this is not going to be a long video, but it's going to be one that you might want to watch it again, rewind, and maybe take a little bit of notes. A little story I'm going to start out with. There was a guy named Dan Jones. He wanted to catch a flight to Boston, from New York. So he walked into the airport, spotted a scale, jumped on the scale, put his quarter in, and a little fortune came out and said, "You're Dan Jones. You weigh 188 pounds, and you're going to catch the 220 to Boston." Well, he was just amazed. He couldn't believe it. So he put another quarter in, and the machine came back and said, "You're still Dan Jones. You still weigh 188 pounds, and you're still going to catch the 220 to Boston." Well, he was confused, and he felt there was a trick. So he ran into the restroom, came back out, changed his clothes, came back out, and put another quarter into the scale, and the scale thing came back out, the little fortune, and it said, "You're still Dan Jones. You still weigh 188 pounds, but you have just missed the 220 to Boston." So this is a little bit of a video for those of you that are missing a few things, because maybe you just haven't been able to go out there and get something done because you procrastinated a little bit. So I'd like to talk a little bit about positive mental attitude versus positive life attitude. A lot of people talk about PMA, and a lot of people that study it think, well, you have to have a positive mental attitude to get things done. Well, I call it more of a positive life attitude, because I believe that a positive belief system, a positive believing, you've heard me say this, you have to believe it before you see it. I get that from Dr. Wayne Dyer. A positive believing is going to lead to positive action, right? It's just going to be, and that of course is going to lead to a positive thinking, which is going to lead to positive action. So for me, believing, thought process, positive, and then action. So it all starts with how we think. So you can be bright or you can be broke, right? I don't know about you, but I'd rather be both. Some people are very bright and they're broke. A story about a guy. He was an American Indian back in the 1930s, and he was very poor. Well, they struck oil on his land down there, and pretty much overnight he became a very wealthy man. So he wanted to show off a little bit. So he bought the biggest car he could get. He bought a Cadillac. And he used to sit in the back of this Cadillac, and he used to cruise up and down Main Street, and he used to wave to people on the right, wave to people on the left, and he always enjoyed himself. In fact, sometimes he waved to people behind him. Well, the reason he was able to do that and not have an accident is because at the front of the car he had two horses pulling it. You see, what he forgot was he forgot to put the key in the ignition and turn it and start it up. He had 200 horses under the hood, but he was relying on the two horses outside. He wasn't relying on what was on inside. You see, all of you have a lot inside. You're relying on your external circumstances to make decisions and to take actions when you have everything that you need already ready inside you. I believe there's a lot of gold in everyone. I believe there's a lot of gold inside of you. You see, a gold coin and a dime have the same value if they're resting on the ocean floor corroding. You have to bring them up to the surface for them to have any value at all, because down there, they're pretty much worth nothing. Hey Denise, how are you? Anthony Buffalino, what's going on? Minerva, my love, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. How's New Jersey doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Well, so that's pretty much the thesis here. In order to get someplace in life, you have to have all the ingredients in place. You have to have your self-image has got to be square. You have to have your relationships taken care of. You have to have your attitudes perfect. You have to have your work ethic and work efforts going in the right direction, and you have to have your desires in place. These are the ingredients that we all need. It's extremely important to have these ingredients. So I have a couple of notes over here that I'm going to get into in a couple of minutes, just to see if I can kind of focus on this here. So there's going to be a few things I'm going to ask you to do. First of all, we're going to be covering those 5 ingredients on subsequent videos, because each one of them is going to take some time. I don't want this to be a 2-hour video. I don't want to do that. I don't want to bore everybody. Hey Marina, how are you? Carol, how are you? So here's what I want you to do. Well, one thing is important for me before I even get into this. I want you to use what you already have. You see, you already have the ingredients in place. We all have various strengths in each of those 5 areas, but some are stronger than others. Some areas that we have are strong here, maybe weak on one area. It's important that you develop them by using them. You have to use them, otherwise you're going to lose them. Isn't that true? We heard that before, right? So let's use the tools that we have. Let's use the skills that we have. Let's use the gifts that we have. I think that's important. Hey, Penelope, how are you? What are you doing? What's going on? I think our friend Dawn's on the way back from Mexico tonight, right? I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing her. Hi, Tina. How are you? What's going on? Welcome, everybody. It's Saturday night. You're on here. Wow, I'm amazed. All right, so number 1, I want you to eliminate garbage thinking. Garbage thinking is, look, any of us, if you're more than 20 years old, you've had a lot of garbage dumped. If you're 40 and 60, you've had a lot of garbage dumped in your mind by other people. It just kind of accumulates. It's like having, as I'm driving into Brooklyn, there's I forget what it is, I think it's called Fountain Avenue, the Fountain Avenue garbage dump. I grew up with this thing going up and down the Bell Park. I saw it every day. It was a massive, massive garbage dump. I think you can see it from space. It was so big. Well, what they've done over the past 20 or 30 years or so, they've kind of covered it up. They put clay, they put topsoil, they threw some trees on there, and eventually they're supposed to put some kind of a park on top of it where I guess people can visit. Now, a developer might see that same garbage dump, and he may turn that into gold by building. Actually, it was actually done on the other side of the Dale Parkway. They built a whole giant strip mall. It's a huge complex of stores and buildings over there, literally on top of a garbage dump. Well, it may be a beautiful structure, it may be a beautiful mall, but it's still built on a garbage dump. So you have a lot of garbage here. There's no way to remove the garbage, but you can cover it up and cover it up and cover it up until it's no longer stinking thinking. So it's important to understand that I want you to eliminate your garbage thinking. I want you to get rid of the negativity that surrounds you. If there's any negative people around you, walk them over to the garbage pail and say, put your shit in there and move on. I don't want to hear it. Okay, I cursed. I'm sorry, but that's okay. That's how I talk. Bottom line is a lot of garbage. Put it in the garbage pail. You don't need to see that. Hey, George, how are you? Brian, what's going on, buddy? Number 2, I want you to get rid of any loser's limp that you have. Now, if you don't know what a loser's limp is, you can see this during, I guess, a ball game or a football game where, you know, they're all lined up and the offensive guy gets around the defensive guy. He takes the ball, catches the ball, and runs. The defensive guy suddenly, eventually realizes he can't catch up to him 20 yards from the goal line, so he kind of like develops a little bit of a limp, and everyone in the stands starts to think, well, no wonder he couldn't catch him. He hurt himself, the poor guy. It's called a loser's limp. A loser's limp is anything like, I'm not this or I'm not that. I'm not a doctor or I'm not capable of doing something. I know Joe's a great salesman, but I can't be a great salesman. Joe's an amazing accountant, but I could never be an amazing accountant. That's a loser's limp. Look, as far as I know, hey, Rush, how are you? As far as I know, a lot of boys and a lot of girls have been born in this world over the centuries, right? A lot of boys and girls. I've never heard of anyone born a salesman. I've never heard anyone born a doctor or a lawyer. I've never heard anyone born an entrepreneur or a businessman or a businesswoman. Never heard of it. They're a boy or they're a girl. Now, in between birth and death, there's obviously some training, education, and skill sets are developed and experiences come into play, and they become what they set out to be. So if they could do that, well, why not you? Why not you? I don't see why you can't do something someone else has done. So get rid of the loser's limps that you can't do something because you're not what someone else has. Don't compare you to someone else. I don't want you to do that anymore. Hey, Rush, what's going on? Number 3. I don't want you to be a prisoner of hope. A lot of people do this. I used to do it. They hope their fortunes will suddenly show up. They hope when they're walking down the street, they're going to kick a bag and their fortune's going to come falling out of it. They're hoping that their ship comes in. They're hoping that they win lotto. They're hoping. What they're not doing is what they're doing. They're not doing anything and they're not getting there because they're simply hoping upon hope, praying that something will happen, praying that God will bestow some miracle on them. It doesn't work that way, I don't think. Hey, Joy, how are you? Good to see you. How's Florida doing? You guys are hot down there still, right? Okay, so you have everything you need right now. You really do. So don't be a prisoner of hope. I don't want you to keep thinking that something's going to happen and you're just thinking about something's going to happen. You have to actually go out and make something happen. Number 4, I want you to be a beautiful person. Look, A lot of people fawn over these actors and actresses and stars, so-called stars, these musicians, like, oh my God, I wish I had that life. They fly all over the world, they wear beautiful clothes, and oh, what a beautiful life. Well, let me tell you something, it's all phony anyway. Most of what they have comes from the advertising, from the money that you spend, paying for the things that you buy that involve them. If you're going to their concerts, buying their albums, going to their movies or whatever, that's how they have the lifestyle that they have. They're not beautiful people. Most of them are not beautiful at all. They look beautiful. They're all dressed up, glamorous. But I'd rather have regular people like you in my life, people that are already beautiful. You're already beautiful. So I want you to be a beautiful person. I want you to, hard to say this. I want you to understand that you're perfect the way you are. You are. I mean, to me, you are. There's no question in my mind that you are. So if I think you're perfect, why don't you think you're perfect? You were born. You're here. You're 300 million to 1 chance of being on this planet at this moment. Well, in this country, you have opportunity. So you're as beautiful as the next guy or gal. Understand that. Okay. So number 5. I think it's number 5. Okay, number 5. I don't want you to wait until everything is perfect before you make any moves at all. I don't want you to be a gonna-doer, a person that's gonna do something when something else happens. I'm gonna do it when Christmas comes and goes. I'm gonna do it when the weather changes. I'm gonna do it when summer starts. I'm gonna do it when I get that promotion. I'm gonna do it when I win lotto. If you're a gonna-doer, you're probably never gonna do anything because you're just sitting around waiting for something to happen, some external thing that's gonna happen around you that is going to create a need for you to go out and actually do something. Well, you don't need to do that. Don't wait for exterior changes to take place. Look inside you. Look inside the interior. That's where it starts. It comes from within, not from without. I teach this a lot. If you wait for things external to you to come into play, then all that's going to happen is you're going to get cooked in a squat. You're just never going to rise. If you ever see a loaf of bread that hasn't risen, it's like flat, well, that's cooked in a squat. It hasn't risen up. It had all the potential to, but it never did. You have all the potential to grow and to expand and to develop. You just have to step out and do the work. So don't wait for all the lights to be green before you get on down the road. Someone once said to me, can this road take me down there? Where does this road take me? And the answer is simple. This road will take you anywhere you want to go if you have the direction in place. You know where you're going. You just go. So any road will take you anywhere. That's the bottom line. But a lot of people wonder, I'm going to get started when I get around to it. You ever hear that one? Have you done that one? If you've ever said, I want to get something done when I get around to it. Hi Emily, how are you? I want to get around to it. Well, here's what I did for you today. All right. Here's a round to it. Let me put that closer to the screen. Can you see that? That's a round to it. Now you have a round to it. Take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot of that while you're watching this video and print it out and put it on your wall. So the next time you say to yourself, I need to get started on something as soon as I get around to it, well, you got around to it. It's right in front of you. Stop waiting for things to happen. Close with this. There's a little boy that was watching a balloon salesman at a carnival, and the balloon salesman had all these different colored balloons, and all the balloons he was releasing them a couple at a time. That would attract a crowd, because if you released a couple, they would see the balloon, they would come running over to see, what was happening. Well, he kept releasing different colored balloons, and this little young African-American boy was standing there, and the guy had a black balloon. And the little boy then asked this carnival guy, this balloon salesman, Mister, if you let that black balloon go, will it go up? And the man was a genius. He sensed that he had the ability to plant a dream at that moment. Here's what he said. He said, son, it doesn't matter what the color of the balloon is. It's what's inside the balloon that makes it rise. See, what's inside of you will make you rise. What's inside of you will give you the power to exceed any expectation that you've ever had in your life. So we're going to be diving into some of these topics over the coming weeks. And I really want to get into them, and I'm hoping that if you're watching these videos, that maybe you might start taking some notes, because I think it's important information. It comes from my heart. I do a lot of reading. I get a lot of data. I meet with a lot of different people, and as I get ideas, I want to share them with you. So I'm going to say goodnight with that, but know this. We love you guys. We know that you have everything that you need right in front of you right now. So let's see. Tomorrow is Sunday. Let's see if we can plan tomorrow out a little bit. Maybe make a decision to change one thing in your life. What would you change right now in your life? Something that you could do a little bit better, and you were waiting to get around to it to do it. Well, now you got the round to it. Get started on something. Have a great night. Love you guys.